Day by day our lives are turning, like a potter's wheel they spin. You are choosing your own maker. Choose your potter's wheel, my friend.
Adam and Eve made a mess with eternal consequences. We learned in our last video study that their sins separated them from God. If left uncorrected, they would remain separated from Him for eternity. Perhaps that doesn't sound so bad to some people until you realize that we cannot find joy and peace without God. That actually means torment for eternity. So how do we fix that? Well, we can't, but God can. But how? The answer to that question actually becomes the plot of the Bible. The plot of a book is the path that the story must take to resolve its theme. The theme of the Bible is God redeeming mankind from the curse of sin. The plot is going to be how He will accomplish that. So to understand this, we go back to the curses God pronounced in Genesis 3. In Genesis 3:15, while cursing the serpent, or Satan, God said, "And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your seed and her seed. He shall bruise or crush you on the head, and you shall bruise or crush him on the heel." Satan defeated all of humankind in the garden. God is telling us that somewhere down the line, the seed of woman was going to crush Satan's head. Somehow, God will remedy this problem through the offspring of the woman. As we continue to read Genesis, we see how the human race is continually rushing to sin. It dominates our world. We quickly have the first murder taking place in Genesis 4. In Genesis 6, the world has become so bad that every intent of the thoughts of the human heart are only evil continually. In Genesis 11, an evil prevails that results in a building effort at Babel that is actually rebellious. When we come to Genesis 12, we finally get to learn God's plan for saving mankind. It's revealed through 3 promises given to Abraham, and this is the plot of the Bible. Those 3 promises are, number 1, God would make of Abraham a great nation. Number 2, He would give his descendants the land in which he was sojourning. And number 3, He would bless all the nations of the earth through him. So let's see how that story works its way through the rest of the Bible. Genesis 12 through the book of Deuteronomy reveals how God made Abraham's descendants a great nation. The book of Joshua gives us the second promise, and that shows us how God gave them the land. In Judges through Malachi, which is the rest of the Old Testament, we get a pertinent history regarding that nation, but also how the promised offspring of the woman was continually in sight. Then the New Testament presents the way God blessed all nations through the seed of woman. Jesus Christ becomes our atonement. Now we're offered eternal life through the Son of God, who gave Himself as a sacrifice that we might live. Well, that's a pretty quick summary for a book with over 1,500 pages. Kind of makes it sound like it might be understandable. It is. And you can understand it if you're willing to study it without preconceived ideas about what it should say or what it should mean. Let me tell you a little secret about understanding a book, and this is any book. If we keep the theme and the plot within view as we're trying to understand it, we'll never be too far away from what the author wants us to understand. We now know what the theme is, and we know what the plot is. That has just wrapped up the scope of this book. Now, I use that term scope a little differently than its common use in literature, so I need to explain what I actually mean by that. What I mean is this. Think of a telescope or a rifle scope, and you look through that to see something. The scope presents a field of view for what should be seen as we study when we study the Bible. If it's outside of that field of view, we shouldn't be looking there. Those areas will be blurry for us because we're looking at that theme and that plot. However, what the Bible is about should always stay in focus. That's what we're going to do as we learn how to understand the Bible 5 minutes at a time.